It's been an amazing few days here in Atlanta as we covered the road to Canton. Everything kicked off on Friday afternoon with the Merlin Olsen Luncheon, when dozens of Hall of Famers met with the finalists for the class of 2019 to talk about what to expect and to talk about what being enshrined in Canton means. Everything continued on Saturday, Selection Saturday, which started early in the morning when 48 selectors met behind closed doors to debate and talk about who would enter the class of 2019. Now, while they were doing that, I had the opportunity to speak with a few of them about what was going on in the room.
Now, you have headliners, guys like Ed Reed, guys like Tony Gonzalez, who you know, the most casual fan is going to look at those guys and say, those are Hall of Famers.
I like Ty Law, and I think when we look at the championship teams of so many eras, you look at the Packers of the 60s and the Cowboys of the 90s and the 49ers of the 80s, the Steelers of the 70s, you see a lot of Hall of Fame representation from those teams, and deservedly so. But when you look at the New England Patriots, we know Bill Belichick's going to get in one day, and of course Tom Brady will be in the Hall of Fame one day. But there are a lot of other players who were key contributors to those Patriots teams, and two of them we're discussing in the room today, and Richard Seymour and Ty Law.
Last year, you know, there were some hot button issues like Terrell Owens, that kind of thing. In the past, when Paul Tagliabue was up, that took forever, that debate. And there was some bitterness involved. But this time, it just all the candidates were really good candidates, I thought, and you know, there just wasn't that kind of, you know, there wasn't that kind of. It's not anger. It's just you know, volatile. You know, at times it wasn't. There was none of that today.
After the selection was made, it was on to NFL Honors, where the class of 2019 officially was introduced to America. And shortly after that, we had the first opportunity to meet them.
The class of 2019 was Pro Football Hall of Fame.
The road to Canton continued on Monday for Measurement Monday. That's when the class of 2019 gets together for the first time, meets the Pro Football Hall of Fame staff, and gets measured for everything they need to be enshrined in Canton: the gold jacket, the bronze bust, and the K Jeweler ring. While they were doing that, I had the opportunity to talk with some of the guys about what this weekend has meant to them. What has been the most memorable part of this weekend for you since you got that knock?
Well, it's seeing I think walking out on that stage at the honors show and having all those Hall of Famers in the room come up on that stage. That's when I really like, oh my God, these are all my new teammates. I mean, football is about the ultimate team sport, and to have that happen in that moment, I mean, it was overwhelming.
You know, all the emotion just left out of me, you know what I mean? I tried to hold it in, but I couldn't, you know, I mean, just nothing but tears and just pure raw emotion.
My mother wasn't here. I called her back in California just to hear her reaction, and she started crying, and this woman never cries. She's the toughest woman I know. Just to know that that's what it's about. I mean, it's about us. It's we going to the Hall of Fame, not I am going to the Hall of Fame. So it's just good to be able to share that, and I'm looking forward to the big celebration come enshrinement time.
It's a lot going on. You know, it's a lot going on. Coming out with the class at NFL Honors was probably it. You know, because you got a bunch of your peers there. The world's watching, you know, and they didn't know who was coming out of there. And, you know, I was introduced first, you know, so to come out of there first, you know, and represent the class and everybody come out, be on that stage with those guys, you know, and meeting them has been really, really awesome.
What's been the most memorable part of this weekend for you?
Sharing it with my wife. She's the only one that's been with me for all of it, for longer than my parents, from the time, you know, I was a freshman football player and at LSU all the way through it. She knows every bump, every bruise, every injury, every surgery, every complaint, every bad coach, every bad play, every bad game, every good moment, and everything in between. And so her being there along the way is the greatest memory I can ever have.
The road to Canton is done in Atlanta, but it will continue back at home as the guys come to Canton for their orientation and prepare for their enshrinement in August. Thanks for following along.